What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Roots Podcast. Today, I've got Jamie Sharpless with Hover. Jamie, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. We've been chatting before, talking about Hover and how I think a lot of people know about Hover, but they may not know about Hover today. And I think talk about your role and how you see, the big picture of what Hover does for our mutual customers, contractors. Who is your ideal customer? Who do you work with? Who do you like to work with?
Yeah. So a little bit about me and my role at Hover. I am director of product on the construction side, and I also oversee all of our partner integrations. So companies like ProLine, we built a open API, so we enable individual customers, but also partners, other software companies all over the industry to tap into our platform and extract data so that Hover can be used not only in our app and on the web, but can be used throughout other platforms that contractors are using in their day to day. And so our ideal customer, our sort of platform is geared towards professionals in the property service space. So whether that be contractors who are going out and helping homeowners improve their homes, or insurance companies that are helping make homeowners whole after a loss event. So like policyholders and folks that are insuring their properties.
Nice. I think that just leads me to think about when I first used Hover as a contractor. It was much different animal then, and right now, just a quick rundown is that you guys have checklists, you have measurements, you have design to help sell, so that you're creating takeoffs and estimates. Talk about a little bit how that experience looks for most people. What do you see people using the most, or is there like a pretty even spread between those types of features that you guys offer?
Yeah. So, I mean, we started, 12, 13 years ago and really actually hit the market for contractors in, between like 2014, 2016 was when we started to really, our brand started to proliferate in the market quite a bit. And it really started as a measurements tool, right? I would say like that was what we were, and in some ways still are known for, is we're taking ground level photos from your smartphone device. So you go on our app, you scan a house from the exterior, and now we also have the ability to scan an interior of the house as well. And from that, we're generating a 3D model of that structure and deriving all of the accurate measurements like line segments, square footage of the structure. So a contractor can, do their takeoff, create their estimate, order materials. But with that 3D model, we also provide design capabilities, and we partner with all the top brands and manufacturers in the industry to visualize their products in 3D, so that a contractor can sit down at a kitchen table with a homeowner and not only give them a quote on what a new roof or new siding or any other trades they're doing may cost, but also show them what it's going to look like on their house, so that they can make an informed decision and they can understand where the costs are coming from based on that structure and sort of the level of detail within it.
Yeah, it's definitely a better experience when you have a visual representation, because most people need to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing we always say when we speak with contractors, and this is coming from a lot of our research that we've done directly with homeowners and what they're really looking to solve when they meet with a contractor, the questions they really want answered are, what is it going to look like and how much is it going to cost? And those are the two questions that we really try to answer for the homeowner through the professionals that are using our platform.
Yep. Makes sense. A lot of people may know, I mean, I started my business in 2016, and so I was pretty aware of Hover quickly. And from my perspective, I was using other, specifically roofing measurement tools, and in two types of instances I would use hover. And one is when we got referred to a bunch of new home builders. Those measurements are not existing because the home's brand new. It was framed last week. So we use hover quite a bit for that kind of measurements. And then also whenever the other measurement providers didn't really have good measurements, or I just wanted a second opinion. What are you seeing with that kind of scenario? Are you seeing, because I've met a lot of contractors at trade shows and they just love hover, and they may or may not be our customers, but they really love it because they're getting to do everything you just said, which is providing a visual representation. And they want it done the first meeting. They want to be able to just sit there and do it and meet the customer and not make the customer wait, which I think is the direction of every contractor. We all need to be, as a home service provider, we must be faster, because customers, they want to know those two questions you just said, like what's it going to look like and how much it's going to cost. They want to know right now. They want to know. And so what you guys do is very valuable, because there's a lot of shingle, visualizers out there. They're not that great, honestly. It actually caused a lot of problems for us. But when you get into siding and you're doing other things other than roofing, it's really helpful to have a tool that you guys actually provide. What are you seeing with your best customers? How are they able to help? Are they mainly hover users, or are they like what I did? Are they using other roof measurement providers? What do you see? Because I can see if you stuck to like using hover in the really efficient way, I can see that being a really helpful tool, other than just like the second choice, like a lot of roofers do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm happy to say now where we're at today, our customers are getting their measurements back and their hover back after scanning a property on site, ready for that appointment. And generally what we do is we work the hover process into their existing process. We don't want to change a contractor's workflow. Yep. Like you said, it's super competitive. You got to be fast. You got to provide a quote that day, or else someone else is going to come in and take that business. And I think a lot of the workflow, that expedited workflow, the path was paved initially by some of the, really this concept of like the remote measurement industry. You have aerial and satellite measurement providers who they're all very great companies, and they sort of, predate hover in the sense that they helped the industry trust something other than a tape measure, right? There was a movement from having to manually measure a home, get up on a roof, and do all of that manually, which takes time. It's, there can be a lot of human error. You need to be an industry expert to know how to measure a roof or siding or whatever, to then be able to construct an accurate takeoff and an accurate price for the homeowner. But that shift had been made, like from the entrance of all these remote measurement technologies, as hover was also hitting the ground. And when hover first started, that was one of the biggest objections and challenges we had to overcome, was the turnaround time. Because when you scan home, it could take up to 6 hours or 8 hours for the measurements to return. And then, it's fun. I've been at the company for over 8 years now, and I've seen every year that turnaround time decrease to now where we're returning, full measurements of a complete house, anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the house and what sort of level of measurements you're ordering, whether it be your roof only, which comes back the fastest, or if you're doing roofing and all the elevations, we have other choices for contractors to make, but they're all returning to that contractor within the time frame of their appointment. So the average workflow now is, and before I get into that, like I also mentioned, we have now other features that enable contractors to use hover at the kitchen table instantly to help kickstart the design process. So I'll kind of walk through that a little bit and what that looks like. But essentially, contractor, books an appointment with a homeowner, And now already we have the ability for that contractor, before the appointment is even booked, to embed an instant design powered by AI, embed in their website. So you think about like lead forms. Every contractor had a lead form on their website. And that type of lead form really hasn't changed in, what, 10, 20 years. It's been the same. Hey,
Yeah.
first name, last name, email address, phone number, address of the property. The more information you ask for, the less likely you are to get the homeowner to fill it out, because what value are you providing to them? They're only providing you with information, and you're hoping that they're just really intent on doing some home improvement. But what we found is a lot of homeowners are exploring and comparing contractors well in advance, 12 to 16 months before they're even really intent on doing a project. So we created an instant design capability where you can embed this. It's a lead form, but it basically, when it calls the homeowner to, it requests them to upload a photo. So they can upload a
Yep.
photo of the outside of their house. No app download required. They're just uploading it directly to the contractor's website. And in order to then interact and design their home in 2D from that one photo, which, homeowners can download that from like the web. They can look on like some of the real estate websites, or they could go outside and snap a photo, or they might have one handy. And so from the comfort of their couch, they can start designing their own home. But in order to interact with the tool, they have to fill out a lead form. And so the contractor is already providing value to homeowners that are exploring different contractors, visiting different websites, by way of giving them, hey, here's like what we can do with your house. And that design tool, that AI design, instant design capability, we can customize it for every contractor to only display to that homeowner the products that they sell. So the brands, the manufacturers, the things that they sell. So what we're doing is, like, we know that contractors are spending a lot of money acquiring leads, right? Driving leads to their websites. So we're trying to help them warm up those leads and give them something of value to help them stand out amongst competition who have that just generic lead form maybe embedded on their site. And so that's where the process really starts. It's before the appointment ever takes place. Hover is already embedded in that sort of workflow from a marketing standpoint. And then the appointment is booked. You may have a call center that reaches out to the homeowner. And that person who talks to the homeowner on the phone, like someone in the office, or maybe it's a smaller company that you have sales reps themselves directly reaching out to leads. They book the appointment, but at that point in time, they can also incorporate, hey, like you have this, they can send a link to that instant design feature if they didn't interact with it on the website, or they can send even a request for that homeowner to scan their own home with the Hover app, which that homeowner will see their property, both instant design in 2D, but also get a 3D model with even more advanced design capabilities in advance of the appointment. So we're still helping that homeowner get excited for that appointment. And what we've seen is an increase in sit rate for contractors who are using this. And when those appointments go through, an increase in ticket sizes. A lot of homeowners go in with something they have in mind, but then they realize, oh my God, this is like the home of my dream that I just designed. I'm going to, instead of just doing a roof, do roofing and siding and windows and other things that, hey, while I'm doing this, I might as well get it all done, increase the curb appeal, increase the property value. So we're seeing that increase in close rate, increase in ticket size, and that's all really helping the contractor drive up the value of every appointment. Because we also know that lead costs right now are really skyrocketing. It's very competitive amongst contractors. So what we're really trying to help these professionals do is, do more with the leads that they are getting, really help their margins and help their conversion rates. And so then once the contractor appointment's booked, homeowners excited, they show up at the house. And if the homeowner scanned the property in advance, great. The contractor already has those measurements in hand and can just sit down and do their company story and their pitch, and maybe do an inspection. In addition, close up damage photos, document the state of the property, disposition anything about the appointment that they need, that their company is requiring them to log or take note on. Um, and then they go into the actual estimating experience, and Hover has a full estimating experience that takes those measurements from the 3D model and incorporates them into line item costs, where we have contractors who are also applying their markup and sales tax rates to each line item to calculate the actual homeowner facing price. So, I mean, that's another part of this is, our estimating tool is not just like taking a measurement and applying some sort of generic cost and markup to that. It's really including all of the components of the actual material list, and we're basing an estimate off of that. So we're trying to reduce the discrepancies between what sales is estimating in the field and then what the production team has to do when they're actually ordering materials to complete the work. So trying to tighten those margins and tighten the difference between those estimates and the actual material costs. So contractors are quoting as competitively as they can and as realistically as they can for a homeowner, and that's helping the price of these projects so homeowners are able to actually make these more affordable.
Love that.
But a lot of times, the homeowner doesn't scan the house in advance, because, as you can imagine, certain folks are willing to download an app and walk outside and take a bunch of photos, and others aren't. And contractors we've seen adopt that workflow have been very successful, but it's a hurdle for a lot of folks to think that they have to ask a homeowner to do something that they're probably not going to do. They don't want to risk that homeowner, going to someone else. So we understand that, and that's why when a contractor or sales rep shows up at the house, the first thing they do is knock on the door, introduce themselves, and say, "Hey, I'm going to walk around the property and take a few photos real quick." They'll take those 8 photos, and then after they take those 8 photos, that sets the clock to start processing the property, and they can explain to the homeowner what they're doing. A lot of contractors even walk around the house with the homeowner and explain to them what they're doing while they're doing it. And then from there, they submit those photos and they jump right into our inspection. So we go right into this sort of inspection mode where you can document different photos of like close-ups of damage, the current state of the driveway. Are there cracks? Are there things like, where are we going to put a dumpster? Or, if you're replacing roof, like what's the quality of the eaves? If you're replacing gutters, you can even, if you are still climbing up to do, especially for restoration work, documenting things like roof penetrations or hail hits on the roof. This tool is basically to enable businesses to help their sales reps in the field guide them through what are the necessary things I need to document. So those workflows are customized to that contractor, ensuring that every sales rep and every appointment is capturing all of those things and checking all those boxes. And we're effectively trying to replace that, typical paper tear sheet that a lot of contractors show up for, instead of having to fill it out on a clipboard and then the back office has to wait till they come back. All this information is synced across devices instantly when that inspection is uploaded. And by the time they complete that, they get into the home, contractor usually sits down, starts off their presentation. They're now using that instant design tool that I was explaining to you, because there's no turnaround time for that. They can simply upload a photo, or any of those photos that were taken during the scan process can be used for instant design. So they can start showing the homeowner what products they sell, educating them on their business, explaining to them, giving advice on what they think would look best on their home, talking about the different quality of different options for roof systems or siding or windows, educating them on the brands. And really, like, that's where I think the real sale takes place. That's where a contractor is bringing their much needed expertise to someone who's maybe never in their lifetime done this type of work. I mean, we know that homeowners may replace a roof once or twice in their lifetime, but contractors are doing this every day. So we know that enabling the contractor to visually educate the homeowner on the products they're selling is super important. And that also helping the homeowner fall in love with like that design, right? And this instant design, the good news about it for contractors is we know our customers, both the contractors and the homeowners, aren't professional home designers, right? So this tool designs it for them. You upload a photo and instantly you're seeing a bunch of styles automatically get generated. Essentially like it's like an Instagram feed almost, where you can
Nice.
scroll and there's just more and more designs, but those designs that are being instantly generated are based off of what the contractor's selling. They're not just like random AI mush that are being generated.
Sure.
And they're
Yeah.
super, yeah, because we have the largest 3D data set of properties in the world, and we've been able to curate this instant design capability such that it's only very precisely changing like the roof or the siding. It's not like changing the landscape. It's not, and we're doing things like removing cars and people from photos for privacy reasons and all that fun stuff. So um, once the homeowner sees a style option they like, that then they can click on that and they can go in and start making tweaks. Like they can change the color or they can change the type of material. But it's really just helping to narrow that decision making process visually, all in the flow of that conversation. And of course, there's all the other standard stuff that every company wants to do and needs to do when entering a home, is like tell them about their company, why they're different, like what sets them apart, who we are, how we work, right? Really to build that trust with the homeowner. And by the time all that sales presentation and the design experience is done, now the measurements are there. And from the 2D design, we can actually translate that directly into the 3D model. So you don't have to redesign everything in 3D again. But that really is, I think, what solidifies the trust there. It's like, okay, I fell in love with this visual, but how are you going to make this happen? And when you see that in 3D, you start to understand, okay, that's where these measurements live, right? I can now see that this design is translating into like quantities of material, and that quantity of material translates into price of what that material is, and then of course the contractors, the labor and everything that goes into it on top of that. So by really guiding the homeowner through this process and turning around the computer or the tablet to show the homeowner, here's how we're coming to a price, and here's different options now we can select from. It's giving the homeowner the best buying experience, and really that sort of HGTV experience that they may be expecting, that previously with things like sample boards and just like little pamphlets hasn't really been the case for anyone who's replaced their roof in the last 10 years. It's a lot
Yep.
different that you might see on TV. So yeah, it was very, very long-winded, but
That's great though. That's super helpful.
yeah.
And I think it's helpful for people to know this thing, because my mental note taking is just gone off the rails right now. So backing up to the things that homeowners want the most, they want to know what it looks like and how much it costs. You guys are solving that problem.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Where we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow.
Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
You're solving those two questions pretty quickly. And then we always talk about being available 24/7. What does available look like? Well, you can't just be, answering the phone 24/7. People can't do that. So what can your company do? And explain that really quick. Like, what does it visually look like on somebody's website? If there's two different things I wanted to break down. One, you mentioned that there was no app needed. That's if a homeowner has a picture and they upload and the AI goes through and designs it automatically. That's no app needed. That's a pretty huge thing, because the mental hurdle that you talked about where, hey, download this app and then take the pictures. I understand both sides of that. There's certain types of customers, homeowners, that are like, I'm willing to download the app. I'm willing to do this because I want to feel like I'm part of this. But it is a challenge. So having those two different options for homeowners as they view your company, as a contractor is really, really powerful. What does that look like from the first one? That they upload a picture, AI is going to create a design. How does that look? Is a widget on the website? What did most of your customers do?
Yeah, it's an iframe code. So, I mean, if you go to hover.to/design, you can actually experience the product for yourself. And that's even a link that a contractor can just send to the homeowner if they don't want to embed it in their website. The embed, though, is, 10-15 minutes setup process for any web admin. And it's basically a customized version of that embed where when we work with contractors, you can either just like throw the snippet of code on your website to have that there, but we can set up a lead form that corresponds to that. So when a homeowner clicks to upload a photo, that, it asks them for information in advance, and then the contractor receives that lead information. And, we have APIs for that, so we can pipe that lead information directly into a contractor CRM, trigger automated communications, create an opportunity, all that stuff. But we also work with those contractors to ensure that when they do embed something on their website, that it's only displaying to their prospective customers the products that they sell. Because, you don't want to get a homeowner too excited about something that you can't fulfill.
Yeah.
So, if you sell a certain type of, and contractors have, extreme loyalty to the brands they sell, as they should, because those brands are also very loyal to them and provide them with really great benefits for selling their products. So we curate that instant design capability to just show those products that contractor sells, so the homeowner can start to visualize, hey, like, this is what my new roof will look like with this type of roofing shingle that this contractor can provide. And so, yeah, the contractor has options there. I mean, they can embed it, up funnel on their website. They can drive, paid advertising to those sites to create that engaging experience, which really captures those leads. I mean, if you think about it, if you're surfing around and exploring what contractors to work with, and you go to a dozen websites and a few of them have a way to visualize your home instantly right there and see the different products and what they look like, that's definitely a different experience than just putting in your contact information and then getting, a bunch of phone calls or text messages and people asking to schedule an appointment with nothing in advance, no value in advance. So that's that's the highest. I think that's the most advanced option that we're seeing a lot of contractors take advantage of because of how expensive, the cost of a lead is these days. And then the, further down funnel where, you have a call center answering the phone for people who are further along and ready to book that appointment. Well, they're sending that link, via text message or email to the homeowner in advance of the appointment and say, hey, you can design this. And the cool thing about both of those experiences is that the contractor who's providing the homeowner with that experience also gets to see the types of design that the homeowner created. So they get a sense going into the appointment what that homeowner is interested in. And they see the property, right? They can actually have eyes on site before ever getting there. And so that's, I think, a big advantage for the contractors using it.
We definitely should add this in. I'm on Hover's website right now for hover.to. Is it /instant design or just design? Because I'm looking at the carousel and it's sweet. It's an awesome tool that I wish I had for my business, because I really believe
/designer.
Designer, got it. Yeah, that's we need to put that in there so we can show our viewers exactly what that looks like, because it's really impressive. Going back to being available 24/7, what does that look like? What you guys are providing is exactly that. On top of that, you kind of alluded to this, but I truly believe, and I just had an event a couple weeks ago talking about speed to lead. This is a speed to lead campaign that you need to make sure you have in your business. Speed to lead just means whatever lead source you have, you're responding to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you're actually, like you just said, you're providing real value. You're not just sending a text and an automated message from your company. What we do and what we like to use the integration that we have with Hover at ProLine is our customers, whoever's answering the phone, if it's an inside sales rep, a receptionist, office manager, whoever answers the phone is going to send a text 24 hours a day from their personal direct number. That's really important because it creates trust, just like what you just said. Like, you're giving the customer what they want. They're in control of their decision of what it looks like and how much it costs. Well, now they're starting a relationship with an individual, not just a company and a logo of a random company they found online. They're getting real value and they're getting contacted by a real person. I've looked at other instant estimator tools that are out there, as you're well. Most of them are for roofing. There's some other ones that are not just roofing, but my experience as a contractor is that most of those instant estimator leads that we got were between 10 p.m. and midnight or on the weekends. That's because that's when both spouses are there and they're watching Netflix and like, I know we got to do this. And they're not going to call the company because they know you're closed. But if they see an automated text coming from Kathleen, hey, this is Kathleen with ABC Roofing. Thanks for reaching out and using our instant AI tool, whatever you want to, how you want to phrase that instant design tool, or we hope you love the design that we used with our AI. Click this link to schedule an inspection. You're giving them value. You're reminding them who you are, and you're also moving that needle forward when it comes to actually making sure that they're going to choose you, not choose somebody else. So you're really bring them in part of that customer experience process. So I applaud what you guys have done because it really is impressive. It's impressive because I'm always thinking about customer first, and that's not our contractor customers, that's our homeowner customers. And because I sold the homeowners for 15 years. So if we can just be laser focused on how they're experiencing our brand, everybody wins. You're gonna attract the ideal customers. They're gonna get referrals from the same types of people. They're gonna have clear expectations before the inspection even started. I always talk about that.
Yeah.
What you guys are doing, what Hover is doing what I've been talking about since 2019, and what we tried to do for a long time with our customers. The sale, the speed to lead campaign, all that stuff that we can put together and make sure that we're constantly available 24/7. That's really the beginning of the sales process. And my goal was always to have, we were embedding, customized sales reps videos in these automations. We wanted to make sure that we're giving the customer the design, pricing, they're meeting that individual that's going to come to their house. And so when they open that door, they knew what their project basically was going to look like. They knew basically what it's going to cost, and they knew who they're going to be talking to. So when they open the door, boom. Hey, Clay. Hey, Cameron. Hey, John. They already knew us as individuals, and they knew what their home's going to look like. They knew about what's going to cost. They had financing options. I just think you guys are really on to, you're viewing the future, the present and the future of all home services. And thank you for walking me through that, because that was really helpful. And I've always been, it gets me fired up because a lot of people are not realizing the importance of what you guys are doing. Like, it is really important to give that visual representation. And there hasn't been really great tools out there that I have seen. So I love that. I just had a long-winded response to your description.
Love it. I messed up it. You were right. The URL is now hover.to/instant design. So I posted it in the chat so we can grab that. But yeah, a few things you said there really resonate. I think available 24/7, especially when you were talking about, hey, like, the spouse sitting on the couch, everyone's home from work. Like, that's when they're really, okay, what do we got to do? We got to do this. Hey, are we ready to start doing this project? We've been saying we want to do this project. Let's, we're watching HGTV or something, or we're finally here together. Let's start, like, can we look on a few websites? Are we ready to start booking appointments? I don't know. What do you really want to do? Like, is it, especially in a retail environment where the homeowner is, they're a lot different than, tree falls on my roof and I have to get it replaced. Which is the other part of our business, and that speed is very important for our carrier customers and restoration contractors as well. But the elective design component, historically hadn't been as important, right? So, I mean, we're seeing that more and more now too, though. Like with a claim, I may as well go ahead and get this done and make it even better than what it was before,
Yep.
right? But again, like back to the sort of time and place marketing and brand presence. Yeah, they may be, especially in retail, exploring what they want to do a year in advance of ever booking an appointment with a contractor, right? And
Yep.
what better way for a contractor to stay top of mind for that homeowner than to be the one that, when they visited their website, they provided them with that design experience, and they can save that, they can share it with friends and family, they can get input. And then, 12 months down the road, when they're sitting on the couch with their spouse again, they can be like, okay, we're now ready to book the appointment. Let's book that appointment with that company where we went on their website, and we have these designs. They must have those in their system, and yeah, they do, right? That's all part of the process. And we're seeing homeowners who do go through that experience engage in that design tool for 40, 60, an hour and a half amount of time in a session. So it's very engaging for the homeowner to visualize their house. It's fun to play around with. And again, if
Yep.
you're not ready for with a project, that contractor is still sort of building that relationship far in advance of the classic, hey, book an appointment with me, I'm ready to go next week. Because the homeowner, the second they type in that information to a lead form, I think they're now used to getting peppered with communication and feel a little bit of pressure to move forward, when this experience kind of gives them that early intro to a contractor. And we're seeing a lot more strategic marketing communication and systems like ProLine that allow contractors to actually structure that much better than in the past, when it was all manual outreach and constant phone calls. Now, contractors are being much more intelligent about understanding the customer, understanding their willingness to move forward, and not overwhelming them and pressuring them into moving forward until they're ready. And so I think, and you also mentioned, I appreciate, you sort of commenting on your goal being what's right for the homeowner, right? You're thinking about the end customer, and that's exactly our mission, right? We are a B2B to C company. We work with professionals who then go and serve consumers, homeowners out there in the market. But our mission as a company is to help people design, improve, and protect the properties they love. And it's funny, when we go and actually state our mission to our professional customers, they're kind of like, oh, that's like our mission. And their mission is their customer, the homeowner. So like, we see that as also our mission is to help the homeowner, right? To really that's our mutual end customer. Our way of helping the homeowner is through our network of professionals that are using our platform. And if we're able to equip them with the tools to help build trust and create the best buying experience for homeowners, then they will succeed and the homeowners will be happy, and they'll get more business through word of mouth and referrals because they had such an amazing experience. So that's really what we want to do. And the way we get there is to have that, the world's largest structured spatial data set of 3D properties in the world, right? And that's what we're on track for doing right now. I mean, we've scanned, over I think at this point, like 12 million properties. We're at peak times of the day. There's about a home in the United States getting scanned every 2 seconds with the Hover app. And so we're on pace to do a few million this year, and we're working with the top insurance carriers for their claims, but also hundreds of thousands of contractors throughout the United States are leveraging this platform every day. So and that again goes back to like the measurements aspect. It all started there, but now we're really building that end-to-end design and scoping platform for contractors to be able to get the job done and to make the experience as best as possible for homeowners.
Love it. Yeah, you mentioned just going back to the end customer, whether it's a retail and they're watching Netflix at 10 o'clock at night. Oh, side note, communication. We want to enable great communication for our contractors. That's part of our mission statement. We don't want to text somebody at 10:07 p.m. So we have something called optimal time. So if somebody's using the Hover app and a customer is using Hover and that lead source, the automation is going to get triggered, but we're going to we use AI to have an optimal time the next morning or on the next weekday morning. And so that the individual from our team is not texting that person automatically the times they don't want to get texted. Just like you said, the peppering of things is really important that we honor our customers' time as well. Like they may be interested and it is fun, but they don't want to get a text and an email and an AI phone call at 10:07 p.m. So really important. That part is really important. The second thing that you made me think of about just insurance versus retail in general, the funness of the retail thing of doing this project, totally see it. You're providing value. But when we were doing insurance claims, even if it's just gutters and roof, they want to choose color. They want to, if they're going to change their color of their siding or their roof, they want to choose the color right there. Even if there's no increase in actual, Hover can definitely help increase average ticket size. But if you're going to be the same ticket size, totally fine. But they get to see their roof if they're going to change it from pewter to charcoal, and that's real. You provide value. You're the company that provide that value to them because they know they can argue with their spouse about which one's the better color, and then the wife will win, and then you guys move forward. That's how this works.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely. It was funny. We were like pleasantly surprised by that in amongst our insurance customers at how much the design aspect of the platform resonated in an insurance environment. Because I think maybe historically, like homeowners expect that, like they're going to replace what's there, right? That's what it's for. But the contractor, that's another way for them to bring expertise and for them to stand out is like, the cost is no different, or this is the same, but all we're here, we might as well like give it an upgrade, right? It's like, do you have that budget beyond the claim amount to change this, to upgrade it, or like do you just want something different than was there before? Because the last thing that was put on was in the 70s, and it's definitely not the style that that you may want now going forward. So design still plays a big part in the insurance world, especially for the consumer who's I think what it takes is some contractors to help the homeowner know that that's allowed, right? Like that they can do that, like they have choice. They can, it's their home, they control what goes on it. And and also pleasantly surprised too about the how much design resonates for even a roof, right? A lot of contractors we worked with originally would tell us, well, I don't really use a 3D model for a roof because homeowner doesn't care what their roof looks like. They just want it to look the same, but who cares about like one type of shingle versus the other? And
sure,
what we found as people are using instant design and even the 3D model to design the roof is the homeowners really do care, and it actually drives a lot of upsell, and it drives a lot of other decision making. Like we're seeing a lot of contractors use our platform to showcase, like a typical example will be like, well, you had a full asphalt roof, but what if we put like metal accents over on some of your awnings, right? And so the homeowner's like, oh wow, that really like gives it a pop. And so even with just changing roof, especially with instant design now, we're seeing a massive increase. A lot of contractors are seeing a huge increase in their value of the appointment. So increased ticket size, increased close rate just by visualizing the roof. And one of the other sort of like pilot metrics that we aim for when we're testing this tool with any contractor who's exploring whether or not it fits their business, we go out, we provide the tool to a few of the sales reps in the field, but we don't just provide it to like top performers. We love to like spread the love across, newer sales reps in their business, as well as some of the more tenured sales reps. And what we're actually seeing is that it's helping. I mean, it's like the tide that lifts all ships. The top performers are performing great, and they're improving their close rates and ticket sizes, but it's really, really helping the low performers who are less trained earlier in the business. So that's awesome. Now we're moving from a place where we're used as like a tool to optimize the process, but we're also being used as like a training tool for newer salespeople coming. This is how you sell, and it's super intuitive. So they can, pick it up, play around with it, and use it on their first appointment. And it's actually going to kickstart their sales career with a higher commission than they may have expected starting out. So,
yep, it's huge. I can actually see that. You gotta have a great brand, a great company, great culture, all these things people talk about as a contractor. But if you provide real valuable tools, you can attract and you can retain all types. People always posting in all these groups, I need sales reps. Well, what are you providing for the sales rep to help them be successful? And like, this is a great tool that obviously can help them sell more. And like you said, more commissions than they expected, higher tickets, better jobs, happier customers, so better work life anyway. So it's a huge thing. I mean, I feel like I'm going to start another roofing business right now.
I know. I say it every day. After I leave Hover one day, I'll probably be the last tech company I ever work for. I'm going to start a roofing business because I actually envy the job that they get to do every day now with like the tool, like, not just Hover, but all the technology that's come into the industry, like what they have at their disposal. It just seems like a fun job. And I think like, it's definitely, I used to do door-to-door sales early in my career for other things. And I love a sales role. And this just feels like, hey, you're helping homeowners improve their home, right? You're helping people really like want to do the right thing for the most important space in their life, right? Their home. So it seems like a really noble sort of role to have, and very exciting.
Love it, man. Well, Jamie, thanks for coming on today. It was a really great talk. I learned a lot. I hope that our customers and our mutual customers learned a lot. And how can they reach Hover? Let's go through that again. It's hover.to/instant-design. Yes,
correct.
We're going to put that in the link anyway, and we'll have a little clip as well to what that looks like. But Jamie, thanks again for coming on, and thanks everybody for watching Big Roofs Podcast.